Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a first perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty exciting show. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want today's full show, be sure to follow the Dreamerspro podcast. We have that on Spotify and iTunes in the comments section below. So let's get into this topic here. Now, we've been following this Skip Bayless Undisputed show over the last few months. Ever since Shannon Sharpe ultimately departed the network, we've been following every single story that has come out, right? And throughout this process, we've heard a range of things. But then what happened? ESPN started to lay off all of these high-profile front-facing talent, people like Jeff Van Gundy, people like Mark Jackson, people like Max Kellerman, people like Keyshawn Johnson, and the list goes on and on and on. And once that started happening, given the fact that we already knew that FS1 was looking for a replacement for Shannon Sharpe, a lot of us started to become speculative, and we were essentially saying, well, could they possibly get some of these personalities that ESPN just let go of and bring them into the fold at Fox? And essentially, that is what happened. As it stands today, Undisputed now features Keyshawn Johnson, Richard Sherman, Michael Irvin, who used to be at the NFL Network and also at ESPN. He's now on the show. But towards the tail end of the summer, we actually did, I believe it was a live or a video. I think it's a live. And during that live, we broke the story. We weren't the only ones. There were other people breaking this story. We broke the story that Rachel Nichols was going to be making her debut and her return to television with FS1 on Undisputed. Now, that one surprised me. The reason it surprised me was because Rachel Nichols had been out of the news for so long. And if you guys remember what happened at ESPN, it was a very, very messy situation. A lot of us took a lot of strong positions against her, and I think a lot of us are now changing our tune about the position we took against her. But that was the last time we heard from her. So to even hear her name in the discussions surprised a lot of people. So what happened? Yesterday, I was going through some of the segments that they posted on YouTube, and then on the thumbnail, there I see Rachel Nichols on FS1 on Undisputed. And I was like, oh my God, they finally brought her in. So I immediately clicked on it to see what she was going to say and what she was going to be discussing. And in that clip, you could see that they were going to be talking about James Harden. So I immediately clicked on it to hear what she had to say. But before we actually get into her comments, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to play her debut on Undisputed, and then we're going to come back and continue on with the show. So take a listen to Rachel Nichols there yesterday making her debut on FS1's Undisputed.
It is my pleasure to welcome in Rachel Nichols, who has a wealth of experience in this business, covering basketball and football and baseball and hockey and golf and tennis for the Washington Post and Turner and ESPN. And now she's on our team here at FS1. Good morning to you, Rachel.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome in.
I got the mug to prove it. I'm official now.
Okay, here we go again. with yet another get me out of here saga swirling around James Harden, who recently called the GM who loves him, Daryl Morey, a liar. For now, Harden remains a Sixer, but Rachel, please start us off. Can you see James Harden playing for the Sixers this season?
I can. And look, Daryl Morey is a bit of a wizard when it comes to trades, so he definitely could pull off a last-minute deal, even though they're officially not talking anymore. That being said, if James Harden is still a Sixer when training camp opens, I expect James Harden to be there for a couple reasons. First of all, you can't hold out in the NBA. It's not like the NFL. In the NBA, if you hold out, your clock stops on your contract. So you just still have those years ahead of you. The other thing is that we've seen this movie before, right? James Harden has asked out of Houston. He's asked out of Brooklyn. Both times, he still played for those franchises after he asked out. Did he play well? Not always. Did he give his full effort? Not always. Was he disruptive to the team? Often. You may remember in Houston, he was supposed to report for training camp, just didn't show up for a week. He was at strip clubs with little baby. Then he was still during the end of COVID. He went to some parties, violated health and safety protocol, had to be, sat down for that. Gee, he was really disappointed about that. Then on and off on the court. But he was there. And I will say now, everyone's familiar with this act. The NBA has already fined him for what they say is not intention to follow through with his contract. So there is a microscope on him. And if he tries that stuff again at the beginning of this season, I think there might be some action from the league. And certainly the Sixers would be in their right to ask for that.
To what?
Some scrutiny. I mean, look, they've already fined him, right?
Yeah.
So they can do that again if they feel like he's not following through on his contract. I mean, he's a contract to play for the Sixers and gives his full effort. Now, if I'm James Harden, the person standing in the way of me getting traded right now is James Harden. It's the fact that he has this attitude, that he called Daryl Morey a liar twice. The fact that he is now asked to be traded again. If you are going to take on his $36 million salary, do you want a guy who you think by the end of the season might be a malcontent in your locker room? No. So he has got to show people
are you saying
that he is not that guy.
So you heard her there, right? I'm sure a lot of us that were watching that were pretty excited to see her back on television. And I think she did a great job. Now, yesterday, they kind of reduced the cast. Now it was only 3 people. So it's Skip Bayless and 2 other people kind of going back and forth on topics. And during that segment, it was Skip Bayless, Keyshawn Johnson, and Rachel Nichols. Now, what are my thoughts on what I saw? Well, as you guys know, Rachel Nichols has an extensive background in sports media, specifically around the NBA, although she's covered other sports. So I already knew that she was going to have a very strong grasp of the subject, which she did, and you can tell by listening to her. So I think she did a good job in terms of information. This segment, and I don't want to blame it on her. I think it's just the new direction the show is taking. It seems to be more respectful. Everyone seems to be more calm. They don't have these bombastic kind of arguments, these back and forths. And I think maybe it's because of the subject. I guess probably when they start talking about LeBron and these polarizing issues where you have to take one side and the other person has to take another side, then we're probably going to see things kind of, start to boil over. But overall, I think she had a great return. Actually, we ended up putting up a poll on our channel a few moments ago, asking our audience the question, and the question was simply this: thoughts on Rachel Nichols' debut on Undisputed yesterday. And about an hour since putting up the poll, about 1,900 people voted, and the options we gave people were simply this: I love it, average, I expected more, I hated it, nothing special. Of the 1,900 people that have voted, 60% of the people say they love it. 28% of the people said it was average, I expected more, and about 12%. So the majority of the people enjoyed what they saw. I read through some of the comments. A lot of people, some people said she was awesome. Some people said, I always enjoyed Rachel Nichols' content while she was with ESPN. Another person said, not a debate show anymore. It's just a group discussion, which alludes to the points I've been making, which is it's not combative. It's not as combative as it used to be. Another person said, RIP First Take. Another person said she knew her stuff. So I think people in general were receptive to her, her being on Undisputed. And let me just tell you guys why she's doing this. Oh, why Skip Bayless and these guys are doing this. They're doing this simply because they want to gain some of the market share in terms of ratings that ESPN has had over these years. And as a matter of fact, there was an article, a 2022 article that was written by BarrettSportsMedia.com that I want to get into. And this article said at the time, new FS1 lineup sees ratings decline in first week, according to the New York Post. Continues on. FS1 debuted a new lineup last week, and early ratings report saw a steep decline in viewership. According to the New York Post, the cartoon show averaged 17,000 viewers in its first week. The show airs in a slightly altered window from its predecessor, First Things First, and the cartoon shows airs from 7 to 9:30 a.m., while First Things First aired from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Undisputed, with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe saw viewership drop off by 28% from 202,800 viewers to 146,400 in the same time period. So to me, they knew that they needed to do something different. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I think, and I got to give him his credit, although Stephen A. Smith annoys the hell out of me, I got to give him his credit. When Stephen A. Smith opted to basically move on from working with Max Kellerman, what he could have done was say, I don't enjoy working with this partner. Let me go out there and get another partner. Instead, he did something very bold and something that had not been done since the Cold Pizza days, when he used to be a guest on that show, when Skip Bayless used to invite him on. He said, you know what? I want to go back to an ensemble cast. I want to get people that are opinionated, that have very strong views. And then I want a rotating cast every single day. And he went out there. They got JJ Redick. That was a huge pickup for them, something that ultimately paid off, because you can see them generating headlines at least every time JJ Redick goes on that show, every single week, I think once a week or so, at least 2 times every single month. That shows something is said, some argument that takes place, generates ratings, which does wonders for ESPN. So I think it's something, I think it was an excellent move. They got that move. They got Kendrick Perkins, whether you like him or not. He generates ratings. You got him. Then they opted to go get Chris Mad Dog Russo. And before you know it, initially that show took a dip in terms of viewership numbers. It took a hit, but ultimately it was able to bounce back and continue to soar at number 1. You got to give him his credit for pulling that off. Now they just were able to recruit Shannon Sharpe, and I expect that show to still be number 1. So Skip Bayless and these guys had to do something different. Whether or not you think, oh, Rachel Nichols is the best person or not, whatever, that's irrelevant. The fact is they're doing something different, and ultimately I think it will pay off if they continue to remain experimental and to try new ideas and, collaborate with different people. I think things will ultimately change for them going into the future. But this is just my opinion. I could be 100% wrong. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about Rachel Nichols' return to the television on FS1 Undisputed? And number 2, do you think that Skip Bayless and these guys need to continue on with this current process that they're implementing in terms of getting this ensemble cast and constantly looking to innovate? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.